Now after this, what we have to do is we are going to learn about. So guys, after this we are going to learn about array operations. Very important, array operations, because it's very confusing. So I'm just saying that previously we also learned about array, that is we can define an array of numbers. It would easily be created like this. So you can see we have defined an array of numbers. We have a few numbers and we have defined it like this. So it would always contain a number. For example, if I just create a string, so it would give me problem because I'm just saying my array would always contain numbers only. Okay, so the type must be here and the array symbol, that's it. Okay, so it would give me error if there is no number. Okay, if there is no number, but if there are only numbers, then you can see it's easily done, right? So now after this we can similarly do this for strings also. So if I say that I want to create an array full of strings, so I can easily do that. In normal JavaScript it's not we don't get any restriction. So if sometimes you provide wrong values to an array, so it would cause problems, right? That's why type is important. Type is important, right? Similarly, if you want to go for an alternative, you can actually write the type inside this array tags. Okay, right? That's the same thing. You can do the same here also, and same this, both of them are actually same methods, right? So now after this we have unions. For example, I am not sure my array would contain my array would contain string or numbers or something else. So I'll just say if we have suppose a mixed array, and I'm just saying my array can contain string or can contain number, as many strings or as many numbers. It's not a compulsion, but yeah, any number of string or numbers, but it can be string or numbers, and yeah, it must be an array. So you can see it works like that. Okay, so I'm just saying any number of string and errors, string and numbers, but yeah, they must be there, right? So you can see we have it. And anything apart from this, for example, if I just say that I'm just providing boolean value, so you can see I'm getting an error because I'm not allowed to share boolean value to this array. Rest everything is allowed, that means string and number are allowed, but boolean is not allowed inside this array, right? So that's how it actually works. So now we would make it normal. After this we can actually give custom inferences also, interfaces also. So we'll just say we have custom interfaces. I would just say interface, and I would just say person, and here guys I would just say we have a name and age for this person, right? So we're just going to say that suppose if we have name and age for this person, so we can actually define a particular array. I'll just say let people, and I'm just going to say each object of this array would be having the type of person. That's it. I'm just saying inside this array we're just going to create a JSON object. For example, you can see this is a JSON array, and inside this I've created objects. So you can see this is the first object. It's taking type of number and age, right? Name and age. Suppose if I try to provide something else, for example, if I just say that we are going to have 30, so you can see we are getting an error here. Okay, we are getting an error here. Okay, suppose I would say that my age is 30 and this string is also allowed. That means number and string both are allowed. So I would just say the number and string both are allowed, right? Both are allowed. So that's how it actually works, and that's how you can provide interface to your array, right? Now after this we are going to talk about read-only arrays. So read-only array type, so it's actually like when you don't want to perform any operation, just read only. That means you can just print the values, you can't update the value. In that case you actually provide read-only parameter. So you simply say that I want to create an array which each element is a number and it's a read-only array. So you can actually do it like this. So for example, if I just say that read only dot, and you can see these are all the operations which we have, which you can perform. Suppose if I write p, so you can see push operation is actually not allowed, so you would get that as an operation. Suppose I want to push something to this array. For example, I want to push a new number, that is 6. So now if I try to print this, so you can actually get an error here, that is push is not allowed on this. Suppose I would just say that suppose if I want to update the 0th index, and I would just make it something like 1000. So you can see that this is actually not allowed because index signature in type read only number is not allowed. That means everything is constant. You can't increase the size of this array, you can't change the elements of this array. Okay, and suppose if you want to perform the pop operation, so just say pop, you can perform the pop operation. Okay, that means only read operations are allowed. That means filter and different kind of other operations can be allowed, but not these push and pop operations, right? So these were the operations which are important for your arrays. So now guys, we are going to see some operations onto the arrays which you can perform. So if you want to push, so you can actually perform the push operation. Let me just comment this out. Okay, so if you want to push, you can perform the push operation very easily. So it would actually push elements in the last. Suppose if you provide some string, so it would cause problem because we are expecting number and you are pushing a string, so it's not allowed. Okay, so this is the push operation. Then similarly, if you want to pop, so you can actually perform the pop operation. It would actually remove the last element. Okay, and I think what's the issue? So you can see the string undefined is not assignable to string. Why it's not assignable? Because yes, you can see that we want to pop something from it. That means you want to pop it from here, right? So you just want to pop something, so it actually just you can directly pop it. Okay, you can directly pop it, you don't need anything. I would just want to pop it from the array, so you can easily pop the last element, that is orange, from the array, which it would return apple and banana, right? So now after this we have the shift operation also. So so it would actually return me the shift, that means the red. Okay, the red color, so it would actually return me red. Okay, so yes, you can actually see that string undefined is not assignable to type string. Undefined is not assignable. Okay, so it's actually undefined. I would actually say that right now its type is any. That would be better. Okay, so it might return undefined or string. So yeah, in both cases I might be prepared, or I would just say string, or the result can be string, or the result can also be undefined in both cases. Okay, or just make it any. That would be better. So I'm just storing the value of this. It couldn't be any. That's it. Okay, so you can see that shift operation would easily work. I'm just going to return red, that means the first element, using the shift operation, right? Similarly, we have unshift, which would actually again give me the one more. Actually, we want to add one element at the start of the array, so you can actually use the unshift operation. So unshift operation would actually add horse and rabbit before dog, cat. Okay, so this is the unshift operation, easily working inside the TypeScript. Now similarly, if you want to perform the concat operation, you can actually see if you have two arrays, and if you want to concat, you can easily concat it like this, and the resultant must always be a number. Okay, and since the two arrays were number, and the resultant would also always be a number, right? So now after this we have slice method also. So slice method is similar. Slice method would actually say you want to slice the array from 1 to 4, so it would actually slice the array from 1 to 4, right? Now after this we have splice method. So splice method is a little bit different to slice method. It actually says if you want to just say Toyota, Honda, Ford, and I just want to add something in between, so you are adding Chevrolet and BMW between 1 and 0. Okay, so 1 and starts from 0, so okay, so replace 0. So you can just see that this is the splice method, and changes the contents of an array by removing or replacing existing elements or adding new elements, right? After this we have index of also. So index of method is also available in JavaScript, and it's same. You're just saying that we have a array of numbers. Let me just comment others out. That would be fine, and you can see you are having an array of numbers, right? And you are just finding the index of something, and you are just storing it into some other variable, right? That would actually give you an index, which is again a number, right? Now after this we have for each method, which would actually allow you to iterate through your array. So you would actually easily iterate through your array using the for each method. I'm just saying we have an array, I want to iterate through this, and this is the for each method, right? So that's how it works. Now similarly we have the map method. So if you want to map through your array, so you have a map method in JavaScript. Okay, so similar to this, similar to the normal JavaScript, we have this in TypeScript also. You can see we have an array, and I'm just saying I want to map and just convert the data to double. Okay, so you would just get double, okay, easily, right? So these were some methods which we have in arrays. Now guys, we are going to talk about objects. Okay, we are going to talk about objects. So again, you would have objects. So previously I told you you can easily define the type, but this is one method. Here you can define type additionally. Instead of this, you could have defined the interface also, but instead of defining the interface, you can define it like this. I have defined it like this. If you give some extra value, for example, if you want to give extra value like email, so you can actually see I would always get an error. Okay, I would always get an error. Suppose if I just say we have an email, you can see I'm getting an error. Okay, so here I can actually say that we have one more type, that is email, and email is there, and if email exists it must be of type string. That's what I've said. So I'm just saying it, if email is there, then only it must be a string. Okay, it must be a string, right? That's how it works. And similarly we can define the type alias, and type alias is actually used for object examples, so it's actually similar to interfaces. So yeah, here you can just define the type alias. I'm just saying it might have a name and age. It might have a name and age, and similar to this, you can just define your person. It would have a name and age, and that's how you can define the type alias, right? So in the next video we'll learn more about the aliases, but yeah, right now we have defined it like this. Now after this, guys, we have something else. We have optional properties. So I told you about optional properties. You can see optional properties are what? Email and question mark. That means this is optional. If you don't provide this, that's totally fine, but you must provide age and name. They are important. Email is optional because of this question mark. Okay, that's optional properties. Now similarly we might have read only properties also. That means you don't want to change this value later on, so that's actually read only property. For example, I'm just saying that we have some read only variables x and y. Okay, and I've just defined the type alias for those. I've defined the type aliases for those. So what would happen? You would simply say that once you try to give them values later on, you won't be able to change these. Okay, so that's how actually read only works. Later on you won't be able to change the values of x and y, because x and y are now read only. So suppose if I try to use this, suppose if I just say that point x dot x, point dot x, actually point dot x is actually 5. So you can see we cannot change this because it's actually read only. Okay, so read only simply says we want to make it constant. Read only means that if you want to make it constant, you actually use read only, right? After this we have nested objects also. So for example, we have type of user and addresses. So what would happen? Suppose you have a type of user and addresses. Suppose you have address and user. Okay, these two types aliases, and I'm just saying that suppose now I would want to nest through it, so I can easily nest through it. I would just say that we have type users, and inside this we can actually define our addresses also. Okay, we can easily define our addresses also. Okay, so here you can see that I'm just saying my user would be having nested address. Okay, here you can see I've defined address. Inside this I have defined the address. Okay, so I've just defined user. Inside this I'm just saying my address field would be taking types of this alias. Okay, that's what I've said. So whenever I've defined address, the type would be taken from address alias. That's it. Okay, so that's how it actually works. That's how I would easily write this, and that's how you can perform nesting of our aliases, right? So after this we have suppose if you want to access object properties, you can easily access by the simple method which we have in JavaScript. Same methods. For example, you have this, so you can see we have this, and we want to access the name, so you can easily access it. It's simple in JavaScript, similarly in TypeScript, right? Similarly, if you want to perform type assertion for objects, to have an object which is read only totally, so you're just going to say that we have a read only object, and it has name and age. All of them are actually read only. That means if you want to just change one field also, it's always read only. That means you can't do anything inside this. Okay, so if you want to make the whole object read only, that means you can't update a single field which is not available in normal object. In normal object in TypeScript, if I talk about JavaScript, you can easily update the objects by just typing it like this, which is actually a bit scary. Okay, sometimes scary. You can't update things like this. Even if you make the object as constant in normal JavaScript, it's still able to update it by just updating the values like this manually. Okay, so it's not good. So that's why in TypeScript you can define them as read only, so that you can't update the values again and again like this into an object. Okay, so these examples actually illustrate the usage of TypeScript into different types annotations which we have, that is arrays, numbers, strings, objects, etc., and functions, right? So guys, these were all the things which I wanted to tell you today, and today we learned a lot about type annotations. So I hope you understood this video, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, say have a good day. Bye bye.